Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Valorant Hot Takes. Joined again by Zach, and we've got a lot to catch up on. I think the last one was 2 weeks ago, and that's basically the whole of champs has happened in between there. I guess to hit you with something quickly, DRX paper versus Paper X in the lower bracket in the next match. Who do you prefer to go out of the two Pacific teams?
I mean, neither, but since I can't have that, of course, DRX, because I am a Paper Rex stan. But I feel very bad about it because I do like DRX as well, and I think that they're a very nice team. I mean, I don't mind if they make it to the final or lower final, but I would be happy to see the Paper X gang pull off a Masters Champions win in a row after all the years of almosts. But anyway, what about you, Lee? Who would you like to see the grand final between?
Um, I've got to go EMEA for Fnatic, and to be fair, I think
Mm,
it, they'd be the one I'd like to just to see win it, especially just having that core be so good for so long and not have a champs, and it's kind of staggering that this is the first time they're actually in the
making
top
top
three
three.
as well. Yeah, but then also just I don't know the timing of it as well. Like Leo's just like officially retired now, and do it for him. The way they did the comeback the other day as well, which we'll get into obviously. But it seems like the stars are aligning for Fnatic. It feels like we're just setting up the plot for it to be them. Paper X, they had the plot
Honestly.
in Masters. They had the train right before it, but I don't know. I think it's Fnatic's time. I think it'd be Fnatic Paper X in the final, and I'd
Mhm.
like Fnatic.
I mean, to be fair, I would be the least as upset if any team apart from Paper X won it if it was Fnatic. So I kind of concur with you. I really like them. I agree with you. I think that, yeah, I think Boaster also mentioned it when we got to talk to him about like how a champs trophy is like the one thing that he really wants to get before he even considers like hanging up his hat and stuff. And
Yeah,
I don't know, bro. I mean, anybody who has such fire walkouts deserves, to lift a trophy at some point in their life, or I guess in his case, like a third trophy. But you take my point.
yeah, exactly. And especially like the last few months, I feel like I don't know if I jump to the point of saying it's like hinting at retirement soon, but just the way he talked before champs, especially, I think it was around Masters too,
Hmm.
saying about like how he's more appreciative of just like being able to go to global events as well, and he was saying things like you never know if you've like gone to your last one essentially, or if you're going to make another one, which could just be just like in general it's competition. That's always the case, but kind of felt like he was being like retrospective in the way that you might do when you're thinking you've not got much time left. That could just be me
Hmm.
with a tinfoil hat. But anyway, let's go back a little bit then. So we're talking about the last four, but we've got bloody loads before that that's happened.
Oh,
Um,
we could start with the group stage.
let's go through maybe a bit about the teams that went out early then. Let
Oh
me
yeah,
just
sure.
chuck it on the screen. Um, so there's a few teams that went out in the groups that I think is like more surprising, more of an issue maybe for some than others. Group A Sentinels is the
Mm.
obvious one there, and I feel
Hashtag
like
nearest airport.
yeah
Sorry.
exactly, and I feel like the general consensus like immediately was that there's going to be changes for Sentinels. I don't think that would be particularly surprising. Like they're obviously an org that it's not even that they're used to winning global events. They've got the couple over the last 4 or 5 years, but they've certainly their level or their expectation is to be fighting to win them. The fact that they
Hmm.
arrived at all three, like I get fair enough. That's not that easy to do to make it to all three events. But then, yeah, I mean, Champs is the big one, and they just did like as bad as possible essentially. So not ideal.
I mean, to be fair, like I think Sheila Gaming played that really well, their series against Sentinels, and I think for them it low key mattered more because Sentinels win. I mean, yes, they're out of champs, but they're still gonna be in franchising next year. Sheila Gaming, if they lost that, odds were they were gonna drop back down to Ascension. So yeah, I think them being able to win that day kind of saves their VCT for a year. VCT spot for a year. And of course, GX, with everything to fight for, they were having the Cinderella run. They had that momentum coming. And I think just something about Sen is that when they start losing, it seems like they have a very tough time recovering. Like we've seen that in VCT's Americas. We've seen that like over the course of this tournament. Like they took one loss to GX, a very close loss, but after that, like it just looked much more difficult for them to come back from it. And I think that Bang mentioned it as well during his interview with us about like how mental is one of the biggest problems that this team seems to face. So I think perhaps I don't know if they need a player replacement, but I think that yeah, that's probably what they want to work on the most this year, or I guess on the during the off season or whatever.
Yeah, it was something like about their bad days, wasn't it? He was saying like when they have bad days, like they're
Yeah,
really bad. Um,
exactly. That's the code.
yeah, and it's difficult to think like you can have your bad days, but if you have your bad days at champs, when when 2 losses gets you out, then it's you know you could kind of throughout the rest of the season. I think we talked about it like at the time of that interview was that they could have these bad days, but I guess they were few and far between, or at least they were doing a good job to not to not have issues with the bad days because they were fine like most of the season, especially in Americas. Probably just a skill gap then throughout most of the season, like for them down to the next well the rest of the teams apart from G2. But then we've seen, I guess, in stage 2, as soon as another team starts popping up and matching them, then yeah, didn't go so well, and they didn't even get top 2. So I don't know, maybe just those bad days are becoming more frequent towards the end of the season as well, and it's just spiraling a little bit. But there we have it. We go down to Group B. I guess well, first seed BLG dropping out is, in the context of being a first seed, is not ideal. But then again, it's
They were playing ASPAS, in their
yeah,
defense.
and it's good that we're getting a good MIBR. I think that that we had a good MIBR. Spoilers. That yeah, just for the sake of the whole qualification stuff, so that it doesn't look like so ridiculous that they turn up and they're just completely shit. So in the context of ASPAS being like bang on form, BLG going out as the first seed is not the end of the world. Again, from VCT China, I think there was not quite the expectations that they would come in and smash everyone as a first seed in any case. I don't know. It doesn't feel like disastrous that they didn't make it out of that group with MLBR firing and then Fnatic as well. RRQ is, I guess, the bigger one, like who would have had probably more hopes of making it out. And yeah, not even a
I
single
thought it
match.
was a 50-50 between like MIBR and RRQ, like because both teams depend on if they can shoot on that day.
Yeah.
So I think on that day when they played, it was MIBR who were shooting much, much better. That lower bracket roller is not the easiest to do, but MIBR, I think that uh they also put up a really good fight against Fnatic. Like even though they lost to Fnatic and Fnatic qualified as the first seed from the group, they looked really good against them. And I know a lot of people like to make jokes about like how it's Aspas and friends. I mean, yeah, I mean sometimes the scoreboard makes it look like that, and some maps it is. But I think that a lot of the credit also should go to Verno for this team here because this guy came in middle of the year. He was supposedly let go from his previous team for communication issues. And bro comes here, starts IGLing, joins a Brazilian team, just starts IGLing, and look at where they are now. Top 6 in chumps. I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll come back to Aspas, I think, later as well when we talk more about the knockouts. But yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just crazy because at the time that news broke that Verno was going to be IGL, everyone was like, no one could see how it was going to work. I think like it was just like, why the fuck would that be their choice? And yeah, it's absolutely worked to perfection. So that's really good. Going down to Group C. Well, I guess both the eliminated teams are a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, EDG, like, you'd want them to get through just for the fact that they're the holders and like for the storylines. But to be fair, like throughout the year, they've not been amazing.
Yeah,
So it's
that
not.
was the bias that ruined my pick'ems. I was like, yeah, let me have some EDG copium. I had Team Liquid and EDG making it out of this bracket. Nobody can be so wrong. Like I
I think I
wanted
probably did
DRX
as
to
well.
make it, but I didn't have my hopes up. I was like, guys, please wake up. And they did wake up, thank God. I have been really liking how they've been playing. I think that over stage 2 and especially for champions, they've been working a lot on their Waylay Euro play. There were some really impressive executes coming in. Like I think even yesterday in their game against MIBR, there was a moment where somebody popped their Euro ult and got some info, saw like 3 players stacked at a corner. The Waylay dashes in, slows the 3 players, dashes back out, and then the Yoru comes out of his ult and just shoots them while they're like helplessly stunned in the corner and gets like a 2K or 3K. And it was just such a interesting, like there are so many fun plays you can pull off with it, and the fact that DRX ahead of a big tournament is choosing to be that creative team that you we're used to seeing like when they were Vision Strikers or even like a year or two ago. But then you get to I feel like this is the best mix of like that Pacific double duelist aggression, but also like the calm that DRX are known for. And I remember how you were talking about Fnatic making a top three. Well, DRX made a top four. I know like they've been like kind of a meme for the fifth, sixth place curse before, but I think this time being able to at least make it to a top four, it's got to be very good for them.
Yeah, cool. What do you make of the Waylay thing? Like, because you'd asked a couple of people in interviews in stage two, like, why no Waylay, and I think essentially it was just like Yoru's better, but then here we are now
Mhm.
playing both. So what's taken so long?
I think that it kind of has to do with how you want to play her because if you look at teams that run Waylay, very few of them run her as a single duelist. Like, yes, I know some teams have tried it and it's worked sometimes, it hasn't worked sometimes. But I think that the most successful that you see her is when you combine her with that Yoru, especially on maps like Corrode, where instead of running like a double sentinel, you can run something like a double controller and a double duelist instead. Because when both your duelists have so much rotational utility and like so much utility in general that combo really well with each other. You can play like a very aggressive, very high info comp. You have like a lot of set executes you can do that teams are just starting to figure out. And I think because she was played so little, I think that this gap, just ahead of champs and during stage two is when teams were really able to start like kind of experimenting. And I think that in general, like the team that finds a way to use a new agent effectively or find what's so broken about them is kind of what like can be a key to unlock things. Like, I mean, we remember Chamber in 2022, how that went. So I wouldn't say this is as bad yet in terms of like the raw stats, but I think in terms of impact, yeah, it's definitely very oppressive. And I think there's definitely a pattern of teams that are using her very successfully, who are also the teams who are on the top.
Except for Team Liquid, to bring it back to Group C, because their attempt
See,
was
the Nat pick, I'm not sure about. Nat is a great guy, but I think he's a better. You can shoot me for this if you like, but I think he's a better lurker and like a more of a clutch player than somebody you want to send in first as like a sacrifice as duelists usually tend to be, unless you're ASPAS
yeah, it was a
or something.
really.
Anyway,
I mean, it was really odd. I interviewed Lohan after they went out, and he'd said that they'd been practicing it like since stage two, and it had looked good. He also said that I think that they mostly practice it against their academy, which maybe that could be a part of a reason why it looks good as well, because maybe not against the strongest opposition. But I'm not against like the fact that they tried something. Like, it's their elimination match. If
it's
you've got
when they
anything
tried
there,
it exactly.
but no, I don't even think it's bad to. I get it. Like, it's your elimination match, so if you do something weird and fuck it up, you've totally screwed yourself. But then also, like, that's potentially your
You do
last.
something weird and it works.
Exactly. Like, that's
Yeah.
like if you don't pull something out of the bag, that's your last game of the year. So there's no point like leaving anything that you've got up your sleeve. You may as well use it if you're actually if you're confident it's going to work. Obviously, it didn't work, and Team Liquid are out, which is a bummer, especially as a EMEA representative as well, and also just the fact that seeing Nats go out early. I'm a Nats fanboy, so
Maybe.
that's a bummer. Um, what do Liquid do? Because they've been the whole year, like they've been at the top of EMEA. Finally, they won it. So this was, I don't know, they came in finally as the first seed, but then also you didn't really feel like they were probably going to have a chance of winning champs. I don't think people had them in like the top 3 or 4, but I don't think you realistically thought they would challenge. Like, clearly everyone thought G2 and Paper X, but then even after that, you'd think like if there's from EMEA, if you thought that there were teams that were likely to end up challenging, you probably would think more Fnatic or Heretics. Not even just based on form, but like what we've seen them do in internationals before. You think, right, if they can get it together, probably they've got the best chance. But Liquid in form, you probably wouldn't expect to be challenging like the top two. I don't know. I feel like they're a team that's probably going to have changes coming imminently. As long as they can keep like at the minimum keep Nats and Kiko and and build around that. But yeah, we'll see, I suppose. Let's have a look at Group D. And Group D, DRG out first. That's just a write-off, really, isn't it?
it's a bit sad. To be fair, they had to face the likes of T1 and then G2, so yeah, probably not one of the more painful groups, I would say, because I feel like DRG is just like the youngest team there, newest Ascension winning team and everything. So having to go up against people who've come second at Masters, people who have won a Masters, people who have come second at a Masters, it's a bit of a challenge, so I can't really blame them too much for it. But
Yeah,
that said, the rest of the group, yeah, it was really exciting. I think the biggest surprise, like I don't see this as an insult, but I do not have Heretics winning 4-0, like not dropping a single map against
true.
G2 as well as T1. I thought like at least one of them would be a bit more of a challenge, but they made it look really easy. They looked like they were in good form. Gave us false hopes for the playoffs, but yeah, anyway, they looked really good coming out of the group stage. And so I think the second slot was kind of the expectation for a banger match like T1 versus G2, the rematch from Masters, revenge for G2 and all that. And they got their revenge. It was just a very squeaky kind of revenge. It didn't feel very, I don't know. It didn't feel like a good storyline. I would have liked like overtime and stuff. I'm just greedy. I want like my Valorant maps to be like fun,
Yeah,
not like
but just
steamrolled.
like
I
yeah,
don't know.
reasonably steamrolled, but not a crazy stomp that was exciting. Just like a normal clean win.
I want a 13-0 or I want a 16-18.
Yeah,
There's like no in between.
exactly, for sure. Um, so then that brought us on to the playoffs. I'm just trying to click around VLR to get to the right place.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then obviously we started playoffs with like the absolute biggest banger possible, Paper X G2. It was good. Like, it was like exciting that that's what we opened the playoffs with. But I was just like annoyed that they were against each other in the upper bracket first round, and like
First round.
one of them had to immediately drop to the lower bracket. I felt that was obviously it's just luck of the
I
draw,
have
but
a
it's just
hot take
annoying.
here.
Yeah,
I
go
have
on.
a hot take here. The upper four are the upper four teams that had to run. The fact that all four of them, one of them was gonna be eliminated in eighth place is really sad. That's all I gotta say. Because I'm sorry, the top half of this bracket looks so much more painful to go through than the bottom half of this bracket. Maybe you can call me a hater or a biased person or whatever, and I am. But also, look at this: Fnatic, PaperX, G2, everybody who's come at least like first or second at a Masters event at some point, and
Yeah.
DRX. I mean, they're DRX, okay? They're like the OG team. I gotta respect them for it. You never know when they're gonna shoot back, and it's a really scary experience to face them every time, like we saw yesterday. Spoilers, but yeah. And on the bottom you've got like, okay, you've got Heretics who looked good but mid-year, MIBR terrible year who are looking good right now thankfully. NRG, like I think probably my favorite team in this group just because of like how they've had an absolute run. And I don't know, it's always nice to have like three rookies on a team come to an event for the first time and pop off. It's like such a feel good story. And again, GX, like the same thing, Cinderella story, rookies on
Yeah.
stage.
I mean that bottom four is just all streaky teams from this year.
Yeah, exactly. Like these are streaky teams who have been having good one-off games or, like a mid-year. And on the top you've got like all of these Masters finalists and winners and I don't know, like scary teams in general. Like I'm not hating on the lower bracket, but like the lower side of the bracket, but also it is so sad that we had these four teams in the same side of the bracket because it's just tragic that one of them has to be eliminated so soon.
Yeah. It absolutely was. I couldn't agree more. Um, and then just going back to the matches that we had then. So yeah, in the upper bracket, obviously Paper X beat G2, sent G2 down to lowers, and then Fnatic DRX. And it's no surprise those top ones were both went to 3 maps as well.
Mm-hmm. OTs as well, I think. The G2 one was like I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
every
The G2
single
was
map in the G2 one was like 13, 11, 15,
was
15,
crazy.
13, 13, 11.
Yeah, and then yeah, Fnatic edged out against DRX as well. Alpha popping off as per usual. And then we dropped down and we've got the MIBR Heretics 2-0.
That was
And
a shock.
yeah,
That was a shock.
I forget what were the scores on these? Oh, there was a overtime and
It
then a bit
was it
more
was a pretty
one-sided. Yeah,
pretty stomp. Very one of them was a big stomp and the other was OT. Yeah, I remember the OT game because I think that this Artson was having like a really, really like flashy game. Like, pardon the pun, he was playing KO, of course, but I think both him and I think he was just having so much impact. He was like constantly being able to get the first kills. You usually expect ASPAS to be the one doing that. And I think that this is also one of the teams that have actually managed to kind of make Waylay work solo because of how Artson plays, because he has that KO. He kind of functions as that mid link between like an initiator and a duelist as well because of how he tends to play alongside ASPAS. They've got like a pretty aggressive comp as well. So I think that it makes sense, especially if you consider the way that Heretics like to play, which is a little bit less chaotic, I would say, compared to MIBR style. So that was a very close map, and I think that Heretics had a chance to close it out. They had like a pretty big lead, and MIBR
Yeah.
recovered, but yeah, I think eventually MIBR were like the ones to bring it back.
Yeah. And then what was the next one? I'm losing where I was. And then NRG Giant X, and I guess like Giant X, they were what, like we said, was
They were not
risk-free
shooting
team.
back.
Yeah, but I guess for them, like they kind of scraped in through having like basically like 3 or 4 good weeks in EMEA at the end of the season. And that's what got them here. So it's maybe not like crazy surprising to see them drop off a little bit, because it was, I mean, it was surprising to see them get to champs. So I think the fact that they got there is commendable, and yeah, the fact they didn't have like a massive run, not the end of the world for them, I
I
suppose.
mean, I think also on the day off, they just were not shooting back. Like
Yeah.
Ara has been brilliant for a lot of games, but on that day, I don't know if he
627.
was sick again or something
Yeah.
else. But yeah, it was pretty terrible in terms of stats. But yeah, I think overall, I think the players on NRG were just having like absolute like a game. They were feeling that momentum. They had their reads as well. I think that a lot of credit for NRG's work has to be given to Bonkar as well. Like behind the scenes, the coaching has been really good for this team because it's not just like a question of their strats and how well they're shooting, right? It's also a question of mental. And NRG has been able to make some absolutely like crazy comebacks. Like their first game against EDG, they came back from that 210. They've looked really, really good in terms of being able to keep their calm in terrible situations, which is even more astounding when you consider that 3 of these players weren't even in VCT until like the middle of the year. So
Yeah.
it's kind of wild that they've been able to have the kind of performance that they have. And honestly, I didn't have them on my pick'ems because I'm a bit of a cynic about teams having Cinderella runs unless they're paper X. But also, I think that they are a very, very good team, and I'm actually really excited to see how they face off against like one of the more veteran teams like Fnatic or Paper X, for example.
Yeah, and it's good to go back to my prediction that they would crash and burn and not get anywhere in champs, and now they're in the top 3. But the caveat was that if they didn't crash and burn, they'll probably go the opposite and just go off
Hmm.
like the vibes and momentum. Um, so I'm right, but in the wrong way. But yeah, that also that Brook 18-1 map is just like,
Oh God,
that is just disgusting,
disgusting.
crazy. Um,
100%. And I mean, if you consider that he's doing it not like even on a duelist agent, but like I think he was playing Sova. Yeah, it's kind of wild the amount of sheer impact this guy has. Even like when his stats aren't 18-1, they're still really good. And I think he's just a menace with the Odin. Like that's what I'm telling you, bro. Bring the Odin back. Like every good team, they need like a way to be really annoying and break their team's mental. And if it works in a plat diamond lobby, it should work in a Radiant lobby, especially at that level, because you know you're trying to get in, you're using so much utility, you've got a strat, and there's just a guy sitting behind a wall, spamming an Odin, holding an
just
angle,
someone
and it
not
kills
on your
5 of you.
screen has just
That's like
chunked.
war flashbacks.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just blood.
yeah, just like pure
That
tilting.
would break any team's mental at least. Yeah, tilt them at least for like a round. You know that's how it starts.
But even I mean, if I just got like chunked, I don't know, 10 HP, I'd just be pissed off. I'd just be annoyed that I've just started the round on a deficit for like basically zero reason. That was my own. I'm
It
sure.
happens all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's really oppressive, and I feel like yeah, people have forgotten to respect the Odin. It's time to be cringe again. That's what I'm saying, you know. And I personally do not use it myself because I already struggle to aim with the rifle, so the spray is really annoying. But when I do use it, I always get a 3K, so I think it's an argument for using it more. The problem is, okay, I'm not gonna get into my rank games, but yeah, I think I
you
really like
can
what
if you want.
Energy are doing. No, no, please, it's okay. I was just saying like the moment you use it once, everybody else on the opposite team buys 5 of them, and it's a really horrible time for the rest of the game. It's like you know the you know the deterrent warfare when 2 countries have like nukes and they don't shoot each other because of it. Like yeah, we don't use the Odin. It's like a gentleman's agreement, I
Yeah,
suppose. Um, Yeah, until things get desperate, when it's overtime and stuff, then gloves are off. They don't matter. Uh,
It reminds me of
I
in tennis. I don't know if do you follow tennis at all?
I like to look at Roger Federer play. That's about it. But
Yeah, who doesn't? But there's this guy Nick Kyrgios who's like more or less retired, I think at this point, an Australian player, and
mhm.
he's basically just like a complete arsehole, and he's always just like complaining to the umpire, just like doing obnoxious stuff, and basically that
Oh,
he's
he's a wimp.
kind of, and the way that like if he ever beats like top opponents, it's basically because he tilts them. Like he'll just make the game drag on by just like yeah whining and sulking and complaining, and the crowd all hates him, and he's kind of like playing up to the crowd and all that, and it's like entertaining to watch, and sometimes it works for him, but then if the
Do you really
opponent
want to win that way?
but then if the opponent ever did the same thing, then they just basically have no match, and it would just be a complete mess. Like these kind of things can work if it's one side. If both sides start doing it, then it's just going to spiral and it's going to be a disaster.
I mean, I'm a bit sad talking about like, tangenting from what you just said there. I'm a little sad that we're not getting any quality shit talking because I think that 2023 champions was, even though Paper X lost that year, EG were the best shit talkers that year. They talk their shit constantly. Bustio was in everyone's face. Demon One did not give a shit. He was like, yeah, come at me, and he actually backed it up then. So it was really fun to watch.
You
This
said the
tournament
Pac-Man
has
one.
very polite, nice people. Huh?
Do you see the Pac-Man one against Heretics?
It wasn't that bad. I don't know. That's been very
It was
wholesome, man. That what
creative.
I
Yeah, yeah.
remember,
It wasn't like it wasn't harsh. It was just funny and creative. Yeah, cool.
it was
Shitting
cute.
on
Yeah, I don't know.
Vinicius.
Maybe because it's Patman and he's like he looks I don't know. He looks like a very nice kid out of college or something. So um, I remember Alex talking about like the player that they were picking up and how they were looking for a number five, and they needed like an initiator player for whom Valorant was like their first FPS, so that they wouldn't have any bad habits left from hashtag CS:GO and stuff. I didn't say this. Alex said this, so don't come at me for it. And he wanted somebody who was very positive and who had experience playing sports and stuff, so he would like fit in well with the team. And all of his requirements, yeah, basically this guy was like ready made for the team. He just snatched him up. It was great. That was like how Batman joined the team ahead of Toronto. So um, I'm glad to see that he's having time to develop his let his personality
Yeah.
match the rest of Paper X. I don't know if you saw the clip Lee yesterday of their game. I think during map three, Davai was like, "Yeah, bro, let's win this. I don't want to bomb out now because my family's coming, and I don't
Yeah.
want to be a tour guide for the next
Yeah.
five
Yeah.
days." And I was just like, "Bro."
And I saw. I
I
think
don't know if you saw Alex's mom as well. Yeah,
yeah,
she
and
was
I
like
because
in
they
the
had the
crowd.
same thing from Heretics as well, and they're saying like we want to go to the final because my family's coming, and I imagine it's the case for basically every player. Like that must be so devastating.
The aura was like so reversed though. Like Benji was being so sincere and sweet, like my mom's coming, I want them to see me play. And Rayans was like, yeah, I want to do it for the team. And then you go to the other side, and Paper X is just like, I don't want to be a tour guide. I want to play.
Yeah.
It was like very amusing in that regard. So yeah, but I mean, it's been very wholesome shit talk. Like, I think Joe P was asking for, or Valid was asking for like Forsaken skincare routine.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
saw that.
stuff like that, it's been very cute and wholesome. And I mean, in terms of the quality of games, I think this is the best champion so far. Like, especially during uh, the playoffs, I think that every game in the lower bracket, especially, has been just such a insane game. Like, genuinely seems like it could be anyone's match to win. And like, there have been some really big pop off moments and records broken and stuff. So
Yeah.
this champs has been very rewarding in terms of actual gameplay, if not like the usual bullshit that you see.
Yeah. Well, let's go
I
to
kind of miss that though.
yeah. It would be nice. I want them to be aggressive and hate each other and do good trash talk.
There has
Yeah.
to be like one team that's the bad guy, Because I think that's why
Yeah.
EG like really looked like they were really leaning into it. Like, yeah, we're the kids, we're the assholes, we're gonna be like really mean to people, but we're gonna back it up with playing good. It doesn't matter. You were mean to us, so we're gonna like be mean back to you. So it kind of worked for them, but nobody's really like an antagonist character here. Everybody's like really wholesome. Like I can't see Fnatic doing that. I can't really see Paper X doing that. Both of them are like humble kings kind of teams.
Yeah. Well, back when they in like their earlier League of Legends days, that was like G2's brand was being like the arseholes kind of. Um,
Still is kind of. I
until
think
but
I
then
don't know if you
that was
saw the tweets
that
after
was
Sen lost.
yeah, but it was mostly until their owner was like outed as like definitely being an arsehole, and then he got ousted, and then they've cleaned up their act a little bit, I think. Well, what was the tweet? Was it the? Oh, I don't know. I feel like I saw something. I can't remember now.
Yeah, so Sentinels was like we're like the America's team to make every single major or every single international this year,
Yeah, I remember that one.
or something like that. And G2 was like you're also the only America's team to get sent home before the playoffs. That one.
True.
Oh man. It's painful when it's your own franchise team shooting at you instead of the other
Yeah,
franchise teams from
yeah,
different leagues. It's but I mean to be fair, Sen and G2 have always had the rivalry. I still remember like I think it was Reykjavik, like the first or second international, or Copenhagen, one of them. And I think there was like Sen, I think Sen flew that plane with the fuck
yeah,
G2 or something on it, and it started like this huge Twitter war between everybody. People were being so emotional. It was funny.
yeah. But that's what you need. Get the blood boiling. Um, G2 then the next one. Well, so yeah, it was weird. I don't know if maybe like the Paper X loss dented him a bit because I mean, coming out of that game, you thought, right, this is a bummer for whoever lost, but just the nature of how that series went, you kind of came out of it thinking, right, well, whoever like the losing team in that case, G2, we're probably just going to get the rematch of this in the final because if they both keep playing to that level, they're just gonna run through and come back again, and then G2 lost immediately to DRX and crashed out of champs.
I mean, I feel bad for G2 because I feel like their playstyle, it's the most geometrically opposite to the Pacific playstyle. And like we've talked about, DRX has been leaning more into the aggressive nature of it and combining that with their usual like deep strategy and shit. So I think that for them to have to face Paper X, which is pure chaos with strategy, and then face DRX, who have started combining their deep strategy with a little bit of chaos, it's like the worst of both worlds. Especially like I like G2, don't get me wrong, but every single major loss that they've had has basically been to like Pacific team at some point or the other, like T1 at Bangkok and to Paperx and DRX here. I think that they also kind of suffer because other regions, I feel like things are a little bit more competitive in terms of like the circuit, but G2 just dominates America. Like they've had America's under their kneel for like the whole year. Nobody even came close to the level of domination that they showed, and I think they've suffered because of it. Because yeah, sure, you're the best team in your league, and a lot of you play the same way. But you compare that against a different region, and especially if it's a region as chaotic as Pacific, I think that it can be hard for G2 to kind of balance things out. Also, I don't know. I just feel like G2 is a team. I feel very bad for them because I think they have the potential to take a trophy. I just sometimes it's like circumstances, and like you said, especially after their close loss against Paper X, they might not have had the gas in the tank because I feel like especially that map 3 against DRX just looks so dominant. I think it
It,
was a 10-2 half as well.
yeah, and it's a what if, I suppose, because that's the thing with this G2. I did like a bit of uh, a narrative thing before champs started with them, where pretty much like the fact that they won they won Americas 3 times is like is a great achievement. No other region had one team win more than one uh, regional trophy. So being able to like consistently be at the top, and then they're second in Bangkok. What was it, like top 4 in Toronto? I think when it lower bracket. I can't remember exactly when they went out, but it was still like pretty deep. And then they've got to champs, and they throughout the year they probably have been the best team. Like if you aggregated their level across the whole year, like even Paper X were proper shaky in kickoff and didn't get to Bangkok. So G2's probably been
Yeah,
like,
and
of
even during stage one, we're
yeah,
like a little
well yeah, they started like
yeah.
0-3, 0-4, right? Or 0-3, I think. So
Hmm.
um, just like across the whole season of the teams that are like the top teams this year, like they're clearly the most consistent one. They've been up right amongst it the whole time. But then in 3-4 years' time, when you look back at 2025, the fact that they didn't win a global event, you're not really going to think like they're not going to stand out as one of these like massive teams when you go back and think of like the teams from years prior. It's the ones that win these global events. Like those are the memorable ones. Those are the ones that like get that legacy. And to have had a year like this where they're so good for the whole year, but end up with no global trophy is a massive bummer. Um, I feel like though they just run it back surely. If they can, like they've clearly shown this year that they are capable of that level, and second in Bangkok as well. And I think it was a 3-2 final too, so it was like one map away from it not having this whole narrative, and would have had that legacy like immediately at the start of the year. So it's a bit of a bummer, but I feel like the sensible thing for them to do is just run it back with the same roster and I don't know, try and build on it. What do you reckon?
I think it might be better to try and build on it because I think that this team has a very high ceiling. They just haven't been able to kind of hit it yet, I think.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't like put it past them to be able to do it. That said, I mean, in terms of performances, if you look at like their individual players, you can't really say that any one of them is the problem, because on some
yeah,
teams you can kind of circle a player and be like, yeah, this player has shitty stats and they're not like IGLing or doing anything important. So what are they doing here? And it's kind of easy to make those choices. You can't really say that about G2
there's not
because,
not an
I mean,
obvious
if
weak link.
anything, yeah, because some maps it's some series it's like someone who's like bottom fragging and the next series the same person has like, a 50, 60 kill game or, series. So it's very hard to pinpoint like one person as the problem in G2. That said, I don't know, I feel like they could use a little bit more in terms of shooting power or because I feel like a lot of the time I feel very bad for Jogamo. Like I feel like he has to be the one to always have at least like 50, 60 kills in a best of three. Otherwise, the team is not going to be having a good time. I feel like this guy always has to carry a lot of the weight. And yes, he's capable of it, certainly. He's been doing it really well, I guess. But also, where is everybody else? I still remember, like, if you look at the Masters Bangkok final and you look at the stats, it's pretty clear that, yes, Jogamo was absolutely having a series. Like, he deserved the MVP of that series, honestly speaking, because of the way he was playing as an individual. But you look at T1, and even though they won, not a single person on that team had a positive KD. Everybody was like negative, but they still won because everybody was like performing consistently at like an equal level. Sure, there were some maps with individual heroes like Meteor popped off or somebody else popped off, but I think overall T1 was just so much more consistent, which is why they also won a lot of those rounds off of like win conditions rather than just being able to kill their opponents. So yeah, I mean, I think they kind of need to lean a bit deeper into that strategy side because I think right now, unless somebody's having like an exceptional game or they have like a really good read and Valens having like a good calling time and also shooting at the same time, it's very difficult. I mean, yeah, Valen is also one of those players who I really respect because he's an IGL, but he's also like a shooter. Maybe not as consistent as Forsaken my GOAT, but he's still pretty good. Like
Well, that's
he's always in the middle of the pack, if not popping off while IGLing. So respect that.
yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll see what they do then. And then after that, we had Heretics knocking out Giant X. A bummer that we had to have some friendly fire in EMEA. But one of them had to go, unfortunately. And yeah, I mean, like you said about in the series prior, like maybe some of the like Aura wasn't quite there. Like the map that Giant X did win, and actually completely smashed Heretics in that map. 13-3, Flickless and Aura were both popping off. Well, basically everyone was popping off. But yeah, just I guess at this point it's just kind of Heretics were kind of getting back to their usual level, and their usual level is being better than Giant X, to be honest, and kind of seemed like it just was maybe a little bit of a skill gap. I don't know. But again, like for Giant X, I don't think like there wasn't a disastrous run. I don't think the fact that they got out of groups even is probably like more than we would have thought from them. Yeah, a bit of a shame that they went out when they did, but I don't think you can be like too upset.
Yeah, it was a little bit sad. I think that
Just kind of whimpered
them
out a
going
little.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. It was sad because you expected more from them, but also like it's EMEA versus EMEA, so either way, like whoever went to was gonna really suck. I
for sure.
think just overall. Heretics looked to be a bit of a stronger team that day. And I think Heretics coming out of the group stage as well looked pretty strong. It was just that their first game they just got absolutely bodied, so
Yeah.
made things a little bit difficult. I also think that even though like GX they've been looking very good in terms of like their stage two run. Especially I think I'm not gonna give Ara too much shit because this is like his first international along with the rest of his team like Flickless and stuff. But I think that you do need to have like consistency because I think that any really good team has a player that they can always like depend on no matter what the situation is. And if that player isn't shooting, the team suffers. And I mean, for um, G2, you've got Jogamo, you've got ASPAS for MIBR, and even when they shoot, they can still lose. That's not the point. But I think for GX, especially, a lot of the games that they were winning, it was Ara who was kind of that force. I think Flickless and Westside had a couple of nice maps as well, but Ara was always consistently popping off, and him being sick in the in the beginning of the tournament, and I don't know if he had recovered properly, but during playoffs as well, he seemed to be struggling a little bit. So um, I think that this is like I said, his rookie year, like rookie half year, first international tournament, all of this. So I think it's a pretty good start making it to playoffs. It's if anybody had told us in the beginning of the year that Giants would be, making like a top six or like the playoffs at Champions, we would have all been like,
Yeah.
yo, what do you mean? Yeah, that ain't
Yeah.
happening.
I'll
Don't
have what.
stop joking around.
Yeah, I'll have what he's smoking.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the fact that they were able to do it is pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure. And then just to run through the rest of the lower bracket, then we then had DRX knocking out MIBR. And is this the? Oh well, actually, so we didn't mention either. Oh, because we didn't go through the upper bracket. Maybe we'll jump back to the upper bracket and kind of do it in order. So the upper semi-finals then, Fnatic Paper X. And this was, I mean, this was just a completely bonkers
Oh
series,
God.
like in every aspect. So of course, this was where
Oh God.
we had the news that came out the morning of that Alfier was not going to be playing. So he'd fallen ill the night before. Apparently, he'd been like I can't remember, something about like in hospital for 8 hours or something, trying to wait for
He was hospitalized, yeah.
for like a
They didn't mention what it
diagnosis.
was exactly.
I think they said that they don't know still. I think Kojo said it. That yeah, they're still waiting for the doctors to tell them what they think was wrong, but they had a few. Obviously, they got a few days till they play, so they were hopeful that they would get some information in that time. So we have no idea, obviously, like what that situation is. He did also say that Alfier was willing to play. Like he said, he didn't want to let the team down and what have you, and was willing to just play through it. So
Mhm.
what's happened is that that was the evening before. They got Doma in. The former Fnatic player was like an emergency sub. I was wondering what the sub rules were, but I think it's so I think from what I can tell, like they did Riot kind of stretch the rules for them a little bit. So what it looks like from the rule book is that every match you have, the evening before at 10 p.m. you're supposed to submit your roster. So it was likely that it was after that they kind of got everything official with Doma because he was playing in tier 2. They had to agree with his tier 2 team to let him play. So I guess that took some time. And Riot kind of allowed them to bring him in. Yeah, he literally flew out the morning of that series.
Mhm.
Well, he found out like 9 p.m. the day before. Fnatic asked him if he could play, and then the next morning at 9 a.m. he was on a flight to Paris, and then he's come in, and then of course it's Fnatic versus Paper X, the best team in the world, and you're thinking, I mean, like my honest thoughts when I saw that news, it was like, well, that's shit. Then this is just a waste of a series, basically. Like Paper X is going to win, kind of like what happened with like DRG, but on like a more important part of the tournament, just thinking like, wow, this result is guaranteed now, and it's a shame because of this thing that's out of everyone's control, and it's a bit of a bummer that we're going to see Paper X win only because of Alfier's illness, and then Fnatic bloody won it, and the way that they did in the third map, it's just, is this like maybe for a global event, like is this like the best map comeback now, the most impressive one? I guess the next rival is Fnatic's own lock-in one.
Mhm.
I mean, this was crazy. So we had the actual score. At one point, it was in the third map. Paper X were 9-1 up, and that's when I saw it as well.
Don't
Because
don't don't.
so I not pleased because I was at the
Pain.
LEC finals this weekend, and most like a lot of people were trying to like keep up to date with the scores and that, and I was like in the arena in the stands, in the area for the journalists, and there was a guy from Sheep Esports was sitting in front of me watching on his phone, and I just kind of peeked over, and I was like, oh shit, and I knew it was the third map, and I saw 9-1, and I was like, oh fucking hell, all right, ignore that, and then I'm there, sitting there watching the thing, and then yeah, I think it was when you messaged me like kayaks popping off or something, and I thought, oh, they got a few maps back, that's nice, that they didn't end up getting like 13-1. And then like the match I was watching finishes, I went back to the press area, and then I realized, wait, the game's still going. And then it was like 13-12 or something, or 12-11 or something like that. And I was like, what the fuck? Like for that actually have come back here, then yeah, I mean it was crazy. And Chronicle in that map just like absolutely took over. And like, I don't know if you've seen like the when I was looking through like the Riot Games Flickr channels to like get pictures to put in our article on it, I noticed there was a couple in there of Chronicle like in tears basically, and like boasters like consoling
Oh
him,
God, I saw that.
and then
Yeah, I saw that one. That was heartbreaking.
yeah, and then I don't know if you saw as well now the video of it. I think he was doing an interview for like Chinese media or like the Chinese broadcast, and in that interview is when he's like basically like getting teary and like more or less is like crying. He's like on the very verge of it, basically just saying how like he felt like he let them down in the earlier maps, and he was just like so overcome with them. I mean, I can't imagine what the emotions are like in that scenario, especially like in his scenario, in his point of view as well. Like he felt like he'd been really shit at the start of the series, and then they're 9-1 down. It looks like they're done, and then he kind of claws it back for them, and with their Alfie, their their brother basically that they spent the last few years with is ill, and they're doing it
Sick.
for him, and just all of this stuff at once, and then to have this result in that manner, it was just crazy.
It's very poetic, yeah. I mean, it was really heartbreaking because I mean, I am a Paper X fangirl, but I also really like Fnatic as a team, and I think losing one of your strongest players, who was again like one of the main factors why your Toronto games against Paper X were so close in the first place, is really heartbreaking.
He was,
And I mean,
I still consider him the Toronto Finals MVP.
I agree with you in terms of stats. Like, the only reason Forsaken got it over him was because he was IGLing. Like,
Yeah,
I think Alpha Air had like the best raw impact in terms of frags and everything on the server. But yeah, he needed a little bit of help from the rest of his team compared to how Paper Rex were playing that day anyway. But he was absolutely insane. Like, same case as Jogamo at Masters Bangkok. Like, yes, the opposite team won, but as an individual, these two are the players who really stood out on the server. So
yeah,
Alpha definitely does deserve that credit. And like you said, for Fnatic, it was a very turbulent overnight thing. I mean, Doma hasn't played with this team in what, like, years? He hasn't been playing in VCT in years. He's been in tier two, which, I mean, to be fair, I think EMEA tier two and Pacific tier two are the two more competitive tier two regions because there's so many, like, different regions involved and
yeah.
sub tournaments involved, but that's like a separate topic. So I think that they were probably a little bit better prepared for it to be called up. But like you said, I think that having an IGL like booster also really matters because I still remember like I'm not sure if it was this series or yeah, it was the one against DRX where they were down really bad on Haven, and I think Booster was at like 9-3 or something. He was just like, "Don't worry, we're gonna come back. We're gonna make this happen. It's not a problem at all." And they were so calm like at that stage, and I think having a leader like that who can step in when your team is having a rough time, whether it's a missing player like Alpha or whether it's a circumstance in game where you're really down, having that kind of mental is probably like your biggest asset. And I think that for Fnatic they really have that in spades. So
Absolutely. And it was crazy actually seeing their reactions when they were winning rounds as well. Because especially, I feel like Boaster, like, he just looked like on a different plane than what he usually is. I know he's always like jumping up and dancing and doing all silliness like to kind of hype up his team. Some of the time, like the rounds they were winning, and he was just like screaming. And it was not like the same kind of celebrations you usually see from him where he's like kind of having a laugh and that. Like this guy was like, I don't know. He was like an animal, and they were kind of all like that a little bit, like yeah, Chronicles screaming and just like insane, intense emotions. And the
Mhm.
question for PaperX is like, got to make sure that doesn't fuck with you now. Because can you like we're talking about the emotions of winning that map for Fnatic? Can you imagine losing that map as Paper X? That is fucked.
I
Like
was watching it, so
yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's
painful.
all the same context, but on the opposite end of it, you lose into a team that's not got their best performing player. They've got a sub in the last minute. You're beating them 9-1 to win the series, and then they reverse it and send you to the lower bracket. That's got to hurt.
It
But there we go.
does very badly.
Yeah, and then the other upper bracket match then, MIBR NRG and poor ASPAS. Poor ASPAS.
Poor ASPAS,
he's dropped
man.
80 kills in the best of 3. No one on NRG went positive, and MIBR lost. That is
Bro, this
crazy.
guy had an ace in an overtime round to keep his team in it, and they still lost that map. Like, how much more do you do as an individual? How much more can you do as an individual?
Yeah.
Like, it's generally just so sad for him as a player. But I mean, also MIB like, shout out to them. I know they lost here, but they still, I think, played really well. All of them, and especially Aspas, of course. But in general, like having an IGL from a different language come over in the middle of the year, you guys get used to working with them, coming with them. Uh, you just have to you get in based off of like rules being different in your region, everyone shit talking you for it, and then you have like a really good performance. Like, okay, it sucks you didn't make top four, but I think that the teams that they lost to and faced were very respectable teams. And I mean, this game against NRG, I think, was probably one of the best games. Like, I think the only one that might beat it was yesterday's game with DRX against MIBR, but or Paper X versus G2. Like those were the other banger games, but I think this one was just one of the most insane series. We saw both teams from America, both teams who have faced off before with differing records. So there was like a bit of a grudge rematch as well. Like it had storylines, it had rookies, it had raw impact. It was just such a good series to watch, I think.
Yeah. I just
Heartbreaking for Aspas, though, I agree.
for sure. Because yeah, then it was like a similar kind of thing against DRX, where again Aspas popping off this time. Only 76 kills against DRX, which by his standards is his standards
Low.
dipped a little bit. But again, 76 kills plus 25 kill differential. 2 players from DRX did go positive, but 3/5 of them still didn't. And again, MIBR lost and they went home. And this thing with Aspas, it just dawned on me. I guess it dawned on me after they went out that like the narrative around him the last couple of years has been like, yeah, like the guy, he's so insanely good that he'll just join these teams that never go to internationals, and then suddenly he drags them to an international. And I'm like, oh, that's sick. Like, that's crazy that he does it every time. But I think, why does he have to be on these teams that can't go to internationals without him? Can he not just be on a good team?
Oh,
Can we put Aspas on a
can
good
we
team?
get I don't know who he would replace, but because we already have a too much duelist problem on Paper X, but imagine Paper X Aspas.
Oh,
Like, if there's any man who's deserved that title, it'd be
it
kind of
just,
funny though.
yeah, I don't know why it just seemed like just hit me like this doesn't have to be the case. He doesn't have to be dragging teams
He
to
deserves
Masters every
better.
time.
He deserves better.
What's his agent
That was
doing?
why I think 20. Yeah, I don't know. Like 2022 Loud was so like peak. Also because of the rest of the team and how they played. Like Sassy was insane with support. Sadak had like perfect IGLing. They had really good support players for Aspas. Like he would go in and get 2 kills, but everybody else was fragging right behind him. He didn't need to do everything, And here it feels like he has to do everything. Bro has to entry, has to clutch, has to maintain site control, has to anchor. Like there is no other like I still remember that round where he aced, and there's no other like situation where I can see a player put in a site against 5 people pushing him where he would have that kind of raw impact. There's very few players who can do that. Maybe not no other player, but it's like you need to have a certain level of excellence. And I just want to see him on a team that deserves him, man. He deserves better. Free my
Exactly.
man. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Maybe MIBR with some rebuilding can do that because I think Verno's a pretty good IGO. I think that in terms of performance, he's been doing okay. While fragging as well. Like I don't want to criticize him, but yeah. Anyway,
ASPAS is his contract is up this year anyway, so he's free to do what he likes. Yeah, let's get him on a good team and not have him just like drag teams up all the time. That'd be nice. Not to knock him IBR again, like maybe they've done well and it's nice that they got here, but I would just like to see him on a top team and actually have a chance to win stuff. There you go.
Agreed.
So then, oh yeah, and the final one then. So in the lower bracket as well, PaperX against Team Heretics. I'm sure you were glad PaperX did not get eliminated. I was a bit sad to see Heretics eliminated. And I feel like that's maybe like the end of this full like 5-man lineup for Heretics. I get like last year was just had so many of these like near misses of all those finals and losing all those finals, and it kind of felt like when they won EWC, even though that wasn't like as grand of an event as obviously Masters or Champs, just the fact that they got over that issue of the finals thing and the way they did it as well when they were getting absolutely smashed by Fnatic and then they reverse swept them. It kind of felt like this was like that was the turning point for Heretics. I mean, and that's what everyone was always saying. Like, as soon as they win one final, they get over the issue, and then they're going to start winning loads of stuff. Well, they won the one final, and then they've not won anything after that, and haven't looked close to win anything. Like in EMEA, they dropped off, and then they come to Champs, got to playoffs, but not really had. Never really looked like they were going to challenge, and they've kind of just whimpered out. So I don't know. 2 years with the same roster, and the only win being EWC. I feel like that's maybe time that you start looking at making a couple of changes at least, and I don't know, at least freshen things up. Yeah, what did you make of that series?
Honestly, I think it was a little sad, for Heretics because I thought it would be a banger, more of a banger match.
Yeah.
Like, I can't blame them for it. It is Paper X, but I also think that it definitely looked like they had an advantage in a lot of cases. Like I think the Ascent map in particular, Woot was shooting, Riens was shooting, they were popping off. I think that it's just again like you need to have your players performing at a consistent level, and that's kind of the biggest problem that this team struggles with, especially with the Boo brothers. Sometimes Mini Boo is absolutely insane. Sometimes he's just not having a good day. And Ascent, I think in particular, you want to have. I mean, to be fair, he's playing a secondary duelist. Like Jet is what you kind of expect to see on top on Ascent. So since Wood was doing that, maybe it was more of him playing that initiator, secondary duelist kind of role, lurker kind of role. But also, I think that their defense side was pretty sad. At Ascent being the defense-sided map that it is, you want to have like a much stronger defensive side. So yeah, it was a very close game, and I think that was a map that honestly Heretics should have won. The fact that they managed to uh, like perform strongly on Bind, which is a map that PaperX has just dominated this year. Like they have not lost it at Champions, I think, until this particular point. So they managed to beat them on Bind. It could have been a 2-0 if they, had a better Ascent coming in. And I think, yeah, Map 3 was just PaperX thankfully figuring their shit out. They've had some really abysmal attacking side halves in the last 2-3 games they played on Lotus, so it's nice to see that they fixed that issue. Or at least they had a strategy that worked against Heretics. I think that their retake setups were really strong. And yeah, overall, just a better day for them on the map.
Cool. Well then, that sets up now the final four. And who? I mean, Heretics. NRG get into the upper final is like obviously we've talked about their run, but like that's pretty impressive. Don't think anyone really expected that, but we've got Fnatic and NRG then in the upper final, guaranteed top 3. They're going for the grand final. Whoever wins that, it's got to be Fnatic's, right?
You would think so, and I would say that it's Fnatic's. I mean, it also depends on whether they've got Alpha back. I think that with Alpha, like no shade on Doma. I'm sure he's a good player and stuff, but Alpha is Alpha. You call him the Wonder Kid for a reason. So it would be Wonder Bar if he actually does come back. But that said, I mean, it's just NRG, they've definitely got that momentum right now. Are looking so in form. They have, I think, one of the strongest corrodes on uh in the current top six or top four or whatever. So I think that Fnatic are gonna have to be very careful about this map veto and what they want to play into. I think that NRG actually has a surprisingly deep map pool for a team that is has had so relatively recent success. So I think that the key for Fnatic will be trying to keep the map veto in their favor and making sure that hopefully they have Alpha back. I think that they've got a couple of days to go through VODs and try to anti-strat as well. The problem is that so does so does NRG. So I think it's gonna come down to who has better prep and who shoots better, which is I suppose the case for every single map. But I think in this one in particular, just it could be a big difference in momentum. Whoever comes out of the gate swinging, I think that if Fnatic drop down very early, they can recover from it, but NRG might not have the same mental capacity. So I think that if Fnatic takes an early lead, actually, I'm not sure about that. NRG and Fnatic have both been like the comeback stories of this tournament, like Fnatic versus DRX, NRG versus EDG. So I think that this, honestly, I have no idea. I would lean into Fnatic because of their sheer experience, but honestly, man, NRG have been absolutely having a run, and I don't mind if they win this trophy because that would be like I think the best storyline champions have seen so far. This team comes together just ahead of stage two. Things start clicking for them. They come second in Americas. They basically kick every single popular major team like really hard on their way up here. They've confirmed top three. You got a coach who's an ex-player from a different region. You've got three rookies who are like absolutely popping off. You got a guy with the new record in terms of KD, 18-1. Yeah, I think this is a team that has a lot of potential.
Yeah. I'm going to be a hater and say that out of the 4 teams left, probably NRG is the one I'd like to see win the whole thing the least. Just because to me it
Ooh.
just feels a bit shit. Like that, all the other teams have been at least somewhat like competent or like at the top for most of the year. But then imagine a team that like actually just finally gets it together like 1 month ago, and then because they're good right now, then they go and just bloody win champs, and the rest of the year they did fuck all. Doesn't sit right with me, but yeah, the story is nice though. I like NRG. Yeah,
You don't mind. You can live with
I
that.
wouldn't be annoyed. Just out of the 4, probably my least favorite. But anyway, so I'm going Fnatic, obviously. But yeah, it totally depends on Alfie. I guess we'll see at 10 p.m. on Thursday night. Well, we won't actually see because we don't know really until the day of. But anyway, lower bracket then. DRX, Paper X. I know, of course, you'd prefer Paper X. I think I would as well. I mean, I would love actually a Fnatic Paper X final again. I think that would be like
Me
very
too.
high
That was my
expectation
pick'em,
for
so
the. Yeah, I think mine was as well, but just absolutely not taking
they
the
probably
route.
have Fnatic winning.
I think I had Fnatic winning against Paper X, but the route to get to that
I
final
knew it.
was definitely not the route that the tournament actually took. I was way off on like the other 90% of it. Um, but yeah, Paper X DRX. Paper X got to be the favourites for that as well. Yeah, what do you think of the matchup itself?
Honestly, it's a matchup we see every year, like so many times, and honestly, I think it's DRX could surprise us. I would say Paper X are favored to win it because I think the whole year they've looked to be a little bit better in form after kickoff. Like since stage one, they've looked like the stronger team, but DRX has been playing really well in the last few games. I think that Flashback and Hyunmin in particular, DRX is one of the teams that has managed the Waylay Yoru meta, so mastered the Waylay Yoru meta. So I think that they're definitely like a good pick against a team like Paper X. I think that, yeah, I really hope that everybody on Paper X is shooting that day because DRX have been shooting pretty well. I think that for Paper X, it's also been like a lot of heavy lifting falling on one or two players' shoulders. It's been nice to see, especially Davai and Patman, both of them step up on like some maps because they're playing more of the passive role when they're playing like the Vise or the info initiator that Patman plays. So I think that it's nice to see their sheer impact that they're having on some of the maps that they've had before. But overall, I feel like a lot of the heavy burden still falls down to Forsaken and something. I think that Jing uh, again, like he keeps switching between the Sage and the Raze, the occasional Omen, but mostly these two, right? So I feel like the maps that he is shooting along with Forsaken and something are the maps that they always win in pretty dominant fashion. So I feel like this is kind of the holy trinity, holy grail for Paper Rex, you know? You want Forsaken, Jing, and something to all like be having banger time and killing everyone on the server that they see without like any opposition. And yeah, that's like the ultimate form of Paper Rex. Some of the games it just feels like something rips through people. It's unbelievable how many frags he gets. I know I sound like a fangirl, but also like his gameplay, these are facts. Like anybody who watches it will agree with me, I'm sure.
And also because you are a fangirl of Paper X.
Yes, but I do it tastefully. What can I say?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm a fanboy of Fnatic, so yeah.
I am too. You can't really hate Fnatic. To be fair, you know, it's just like the one team you can never hate. They're just so nice and wholesome.
Yeah, I was because I'll be in Paris for the finals as well, and I was thinking 'cause I've got like a Fnatic T-shirt that I didn't buy because since becoming a journalist, you can't show bias, but my 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 fiance like won it in a giveaway, so I've got a Fnatic T-shirt. I was like, should I wear it? And then no, I don't. At most, maybe I take it on the slide, get some signatures or something. Maybe if they win.
Oh yeah, you should definitely get them signed, even if they lose. It's Fnatic, you know.
Yeah, but I feel like I couldn't go up and ask them to do that after they lose. If I turn up and they get whacked and they're like,
Will you be only be there the day of the final, or will you be there for
no,
the
no,
lower final as
the
well?
3 days, yeah.
I mean, you'll be fine then. Just catch them on the day that they lose but aren't eliminated if they do lose. You know, the day against an RG. You
Yeah,
know, that's like the best way. You know, you just will go to the press conference and be like, "Hey guys, congrats on the win, L on the loss, whatever it is. Can you please sign this for me so I can, you know, have some merch?" And they're usually very nice about it.
yeah. We'll see, we'll see.
I got Paper X signatures when they lost, but they still had a lower bracket, so it's okay.
I had thought about doing it at the LEC finals this weekend, and I totally forgot. Not with Fnatic, but um, I think I've told the story in here before. Like when I went to watch the League of Legends World Championship final in Paris, and G2 were there, and then they lost. But one of the players, Caps, who's like the star player for Europe, the best European player ever, he was playing for G2 at that time. He's still playing for G2, and yeah, he just won
And
the
G2
LEC.
losing?
No, they just
Okay.
won the LEC. They won the LEC finals this
Okay.
weekend. And
I
I
keep seeing
was,
memes and I'm not sure if they're winning or losing. Like I can never tell with G2's League
yeah,
of Legend page. It's always a bit sus.
yeah. No, they were already in the grand final, so like most of the weekend they were just chilling, and then they rocked up for the final and won. And I was thinking like I should take my 2019 G2 shirt because I bought a shirt that day, and I should go and get it signed by Caps, and I completely forgot. And then I saw him there in the press area, and I was
Oh.
like, oh shit, never mind. Next time.
Well, you have a chance to avoid making the same mistake this time, Lee. Let's go.
But then got to keep the luggage. I've got to take equipment and stuff. We'll see. We'll see. So anyway, so who's winning it then? Paper X, the whole thing?
I would hope so. I would damn well hope so. I mean, I feel like this is their year. Like, you know, it took them a while to make some changes in their team. I think it's very difficult for a team to have roster changes come in like that. So, I think despite doing that, it really worked out for them. It's been like a great year for them in terms of individual performance. They've already lifted a trophy, so yeah, I think that would make them the favorite. But they also had an upper bracket advantage when they won that trophy. So they had like a really good map veto. And I feel like Fnatic's a very smart team. They're definitely not going to let bind through the veto again if they're very smart, unless they've, you know, done some really good anti-stratting. I just wouldn't risk it against a team like Paper X. So whichever team does make the final, I think that in terms of map veto, Paper X will have a much harder time. They really gotta, you know, figure some stuff out, how they're going to play without like their strongest map. The good thing is that their map pool is still fairly deep. They've been working on it since Toronto, and I think their Abyss in particular has been a pleasant surprise. I was a little bit concerned how it would look since it was the newest map in, and their split was pretty strong. So without split and having Abyss come in, and it's I thought it would be more difficult for them. But yeah, I am worried if they do make it to the lower final slash grand final, how that map veto is going to affect them. I think that because of that, if Fnatic make it to the finals, they are probably like, you know, one of the stronger teams there just because of how they can kind of use that map veto to shape it. But honestly, I am down for an NRG run or a DRX run. DRX, I feel like, is one of the teams that deserves a trophy at this point. Like for so many years, this team has just been on the fringe, top three, top five. You know, I know they've won Pacific trophies, but they've never been able to do it internationally. And I mean, this is the same Vision Strikers dream, you want them to win that international trophy.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind if DRX win, and of course NRG, we talked about it, just the Cinderella run, 3 rookies, etc., etc. So I think this is kind of the most stacked and exciting top four we've had at a
Yeah.
international till now. I might just be saying that because there's Paper X and another Pacific team, but I also really like Fnatic and NRG, so
Yeah. They've all got their
yeah.
own like nice stories getting there, and it's good storylines. Um, one.
I'm just happy my prediction about DRX was right because I had them making top four, so it's
There you
it's
go.
nice that at least one thing is right.
Fair enough.
Damn it, heretics!
And Paper X top four as well. At least that was an easy one.
Yay.
One thing I wondered, right, and this is like probably just as someone coming with more of a league background, and that's one thing that kind of surprised me that when I moved into Valorant is how few best of fives there are, like in these tournaments where and like the norm is like it's the grand final and the lower final a best of five, and of course like those are like the most important matches, so you understand why those ones are best of five series. But I feel like um, but like in league these days, like this kind of tournament, like the knockouts of any tournament are only best of fives. The kind of consensus has been for years that it's just like that's the way the better way of figuring out who is like genuinely the better team. I feel like especially
Hmm.
in Valorant, like the way the map vetoes work, and like I feel like it's just such a difference between a best of three and a best of five that it just feels odd to only have like to have the most important matches, just two of them be best of five in this like totally different scenario, whereas everything else leading up to that be best of three. I just found that a little bit strange. Um, I guess it's maybe something that everyone's just kind of used to and doesn't see it as an issue, or not even an issue. Just like imagine just so many of these series like in champs this year. Imagine if there was potentially two more maps, like the Paper X Fnatic one or Paper X G2. If we could have had another couple of maps stretched out for those, could have been bangers.
I
Anyway, that was
agree with you.
just a floating thought I had. Um, let's chat about a couple of other things then, just to round it off. Um,
Hmm.
so I guess at champs as well, like with many of these global events, there should be a new agent revealed, a new sentinel. What are your thoughts on a new sentinel coming in and how that might shake things up?
Honestly, it depends on what kind of Sentinel you see, because I think if you look at the current Sentinels, Vice and Deadlock are kind of dominating. Like Sage always has a spot because of the way her util works and how she's a bit of a different Sentinel from like a pure defensive one. Or like a flex one like Vice, who's really good on post plants and attack rounds as well, or Deadlock as well for that matter. So I think it would kind of depend on, because I think you already have like very strong flank watchers. Something like Chamber would be interesting, where your utility is basically like extra guns or things that help you shoot better, and they're dependent on your kills. Your agents like Chamber Arena, where you have to be able to pop off to actually be able to play them effectively. So I'm wondering if it's gonna be something like that. But also I am a bit worried because there's already like so much annoying utility in this game, like Deadlock ult and Vice ult and Killjoy ult. So all of these Sentinel ults can be very oppressive. I think Cypher ult is still one of the best ults in the game, for example. So I'd be very curious if it's gonna be more of a area control ult, or if it's gonna be more of a deep information kind of ult, or just like a weapon like Chambers, God knows. So I think a lot of it will depend on what kind of Sentinel he or she turns out to be. That said, I think that makes Sentinels arguably like the most stacked class right now in Valorant, and I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on the double or triple Sentinel comp. Like I actually saw this post from I think it was BBO Pal. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure if it was him or somebody else, but I think somebody was talking about how despite having three comps that run three Sentinels, the comps that run the three Sentinels are the ones with like a really insane attacking side and stuff. So they actually have a better win percentage in terms of attacking stat rounds. And he pulled up some data from Champions and Stage 2 that was kind of like mind-boggling. So of course, it might be worth doing more research into that, but it's pretty interesting. So I think, yeah, new Sentinel, I would like to see something that's a bit more aggressive, something that you play proactively. Because I think all the Sentinels right now are kind of like the same. You sit down, you lurk, you sit on site, you anchor. Sage gives you a bit more versatility, especially if you're a team like Paper X and you've got like those cringe Sage wall open TP kind of plays that look really good in TikToks and even better
Yeah.
on like a master stage. But, I don't know, to be honest. What would you like to see like from a Sentinel Lee? Like,
I'm too shit at the game to to be able to answer that very well. I think what you say about like being something proactive would make sense, and that would be nice. So just have people playing like more aggressively. Um,
Hmm.
Probably about it. You said about PAL. It just reminded me. Do you see the thing from Sheep Esports, the leak about PAL?
No,
Uh,
what's the leak?
I think that
I mean,
he's going to Vitality. Double checking that.
ooh, I mean, good for him, but also like sad for
Yeah,
BBL.
because I was thinking that because I was just when I saw this. So this was from a couple of weeks ago, or like 3 weeks ago, I think. Um, and it was like right after, or yeah, it was pretty much right after you interviewed him when they went out of stage 2, and he was um, and it kind of I swear he said something along the lines of like wanting to stick together, basically. Um,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like he massively gave that vibe that he would want to, but then I mean, can't really blame him. Like Vitality's a massive org, probably got a nice pay bump for it. Um,
Also, I think they probably Vitality wants to rebuild, so it would kind of make sense that they want somebody like
yeah,
him who
and
has
it's
already shown that he's been able to do a really sick rebuild.
yeah. So they've got a verbal agreement with him, and it says that they sources indicate that the team plans to keep Durka as well, and then
Yeah, I mean, of course, logical conclusion, you want to keep your one of your best
yeah,
players.
and he was under contract anyway, so it was just completely up to
Yeah,
them if
fair
they keep him.
enough.
And then yeah, Sayonara will be playing now as well. But it doesn't mention anything else about that because I'm pretty sure Les is under contract too, but the article doesn't mention Les, so that would
Would
imply,
less want to stay.
yeah, that would imply that
That's
that's not guaranteed. Maybe he would want to leave or they'd want to get rid of him. But yeah, it just reminded me of that. That was interesting. And speaking of EMEA, let's go on to just a couple of quicker topics then, moving away from champs,
Mhm.
which is firstly we've got a bit of an update on the EMEA new team scenarios. So obviously, when Koi went out or got kicked
Ooh.
out, the 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 thing, especially coming from Koi, was that they were certain it was just to get Gentlemates in. And for all we know, that still could be what Riot wanted to do, but they want to do a proper process, so at least it looks like they.
At least make it look fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Call me a cynic,
yeah,
but
so it was Daniel Ringland who came out with like an announcement about it. So he's the head of Valorant EMEA Esports, and yeah, he made this post kind of saying that they had at this point, and this was about a week ago that he made this, and he said that in the week prior to that, so basically we're talking about 2 weeks ago, they invited 10 teams into a selection process. So that was one interesting part. It wasn't just like any org could apply. It was Riot has supposedly picked 10 potential orgs and have invited them to the selection process. They said that the selection process is using the same criteria that they used for VCT initially in 2023. And I think it also said something about the teams yeah, so it said all of the teams they invited have strong ties with Valorant, and it includes Gentlemates and Apex as well. So it says both the relegated teams were
Mhm.
invited to apply, as well as 8 others. But yeah, part of and the reason that came out as well was that the day before that, Bo Dork, who is like a leaker, I think, had said,
ex-journalist
yeah,
slash
like
the guy who works with missed games for Polaris,
yeah,
if I'm
and then
not
it's like
wrong.
making a bit of a comeback. It looks like, um, had said that it was yeah that it was like already the process basically. Well, I'm trying to remember. I think the process had started, and that was like what the leak was, but also that that Gentlemates specifically, he had said, well, Gentlemates and a couple of others, I think, but Gentlemates was one that he named, had been
Hmm.
like starting roster building stuff already, like in the hopes that they get the spot. Um,
I mean, they'd have to go through Ascension anyway, right, Gentlemate? So, I mean, it makes
yeah,
sense that they will want to have a roster coming up with Ascension like a
true. And
month
I mean,
from
to be
now. So,
fair, if you're applying, I mean, you have to be ready because everyone else is going to be making their moves already anyway. So I get that you wouldn't have the spot guaranteed, but you could at least got to try and have something in place. I imagine any verbal agreements they have will be dependent on them getting the spot. Which
mhm.
as long as they're open about that to the people that are joining and that's clear, then I don't really see an issue with it. And yeah, it says a couple of teams are doing that anyway. And yeah, I think it makes perfect sense. But basically that leak came out and that kind of triggered Riot to say something.
Mm.
So yeah, that was an interesting one. I can't remember if it said when they're expecting any updates. I don't think it mentioned anything. Um, we plan to reveal the selected team in October, which is
So just ahead of Ascension, basically.
yeah. Because I think that's the point. I'm pretty sure he said that specifically as well. I'm just going to open the actual post. That would have made more sense. I'm pretty sure they said it would be sorted by then, which obviously it would have to be really.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to check. Oh, well, I didn't mention it specifically, but I think when is Ascension in like November, December?
I think October actually,
Oh, really?
October endish, because the off-season article mentioned it, right?
Oh, yeah,
If I'm not mistaken.
good segue. So that was the last topic as well. Let's have a look at some of the stuff that's
Mm-hmm.
going on beyond champs. So yeah, Riot has just kind of announced. Well, I think a lot of this was announced already, but they've kind of given a nice explainer just to kind of put it all in one place. But read ours instead. Don't read their one. But
Yeah, we need the views, guys, please.
exactly.
I stayed up until like midnight writing this shit, so please read it. Thanks.
But yeah, so we've got there's loads of stuff going on actually, and this one thing that as I moved into Valorant, it's like so much better than League. League has like no off-season stuff.
Mm.
They've got a couple more things in recent years, but not enough. But yeah,
Do
we got.
you, out of curiosity, do you enjoy playing League, or do you just like watching it?
I did enjoy playing it, but I just don't really have time. I just don't really play any. I basically play no video games except for Football Manager because I can play that and do other stuff at the same time. And even that, they cancelled the game last year because they had problems going on, like moving to a new engine. So it's been the same game for the last 2 years, and I'm trying to take a little bit of a break so that when the new one comes out next month, I'm fresh. So yeah, I basically just play fuck all. Yeah. Do you enjoy playing Valorant still? I'm guessing.
Unfortunately, yes. I don't enjoy it while I play it, but if I don't play it, I miss it. I have a toxic relationship.
I just problem
But
I have like as soon as I watch Eva, it just like, I could be fine not playing, and then just watching makes me want to play. And then the problem with League is that if I play, then I'm gonna just make myself upset because I'm shit, and I'm not actually gonna enjoy it very much. It's a love
I had a
hate.
really nice game yesterday. Yeah, like when I'm popping off, it feels good, but when I'm not popping off, it feels terrible.
Yeah.
Especially because of some of the clowns I get in my games. Like, Jesus Christ, don't get me started on my Valorant teammates. It makes me so angry.
Well, yeah,
It's fine.
with if I play Eva the game anyway, where I don't know, I'm just a busy person. So if I play, I'm not gonna bother doing ranked or something that's gonna wind me up. I'll just play like in League. I play ARAMs. If I play Valorant, it's usually like on console in the living room, relaxing a bit, play a bit of Swift play or something, and not
Mm.
stress out over it. Just enjoy myself. But yeah, let's get into these then. So we've got of course game changers coming up. So a lot of the qualifiers still going on for that, or going on next month before the actual championship in Seoul in
Mm.
November. Hopefully you're going to be there, Zach, which will be nice. Have you been to Seoul
I
before?
hope so, yeah. No, actually, this will be my first time.
Oh
I'm
wow.
actually really excited. It's never been, maybe this is a bit weird, but Seoul has never particularly been high up on my list of places to visit because I think about going to Korea and I'm just like, Japan's right there. Why don't you just go to Japan instead? I know they're very different cultures and stuff, but like in terms of price ticket, like plane ticket prices, which is how I think they're both the same. So, I would rather go to Japan because I'm such a big weeb compared to Korea because I'm not really into K-pop. I know I sound like really, uh, I don't know because what I know about Korea is esports, and then there's K-pop, which is probably, and of course, like I know about like their political systems and all that stuff, which isn't really what interests esports players, myself included. But I really want to go to the airport in Seoul, where there's like that Riot Games booth, and pop off and get some merch. That's like the biggest thing that I wanted to do in Seoul, which makes me a terrible person, maybe, but. I don't know. It's like the most fascinating thing for me. I want to do that. I want to go to like an all night cafe and just like
Yeah,
spend 2 days,
the um
you know,
the restaurant
gaming.
situation is so good.
The
Like, and
food,
it's all
food.
the math like probably like 50% at least of the restaurants are 24 hours as well. You can go literally like 4 in the morning and they're all open.
Yeah, for DGen,
Crazy.
I run DGen hours all the time. Like I sleep at 5, 6 a.m. So it's like perfect for me, you know? Like we wake up, play some Valorant, I don't know, go to the beach. I don't even know if Korea is like, I know Korea has beaches. I don't know if Seoul has a beach. I think it's more
Not that
central,
I know
right?
of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
It's
I
got a
went.
river, but
Yeah. I went a few years ago. It's really good. There's like and you don't have to go like just for.
I'll ask you for recommendations.
Yeah, like you don't have to just do the esports or K-pop things. Like when I went, we went to an LCK like league match one day, like me and my missus, and then the rest. I think we were there for like 10 days, and when we were like prepping stuff we want to do on every day, and we ran out of days to do all the things we were finding. Like there's tons to do, and yeah, the food situation is just so insane, so
I would
insane.
love to go there for like GC, like yeah, catch the GC games during the day, meet some of my friends and stuff. I know like a bunch of the players, especially the SCA players, because I've been casting their games for a few years. So I'll actually be casting right after champs because Pacific's coming up, right? Like one of the qualifiers for the championship. It's starting like right after that, and they're having like a tournament in Bangkok. So they actually asked me to do like some analyst work for the broadcast.
Very
So
nice.
I really hope I get to go to Seoul because I can finally meet all of these guys like IRL. So it should be very exciting.
Good. So yeah, we've got game changers. Then we've got the VCT Partner Series. So that's like a range of different tournaments. A couple of them that we would recognise already. The home grounds and whatnot. As an EMEA head, the one that is pretty interesting is
I'm just gonna say home ground is overrated. I stand
yeah.
by what I said.
Why's that?
Yeah, it's stupid because you have best of ones for these teams that are like the best in the world. Like give them a best of three, bro. Give them a lower bracket. You make them fly all over the world to play one map and go home. That is so sad.
Well, you should know,
Have
right?
a better format for the love of God.
Listen, where I'm
All
saying
of these
about
Red Bull formats have like such terrible formats.
in League that they don't have like they basically never had any off-season things. The one thing they started having is the Red Bull League of its own, and it's just like you complain about the format here. This League of its own is like it's just not even trying to be an actual tournament. The format of it last year was that T1 had to play against every other opponent back to back, and it was something ridiculous like T1, like their draft, like the champions that they picked, like they couldn't pick in the next game, but then the next team had a fresh set of champions, and it was like just a complete like exhibition for fun nonsense playing against like streamer teams and stuff. Like this is the best thing we can get in League. Until this year, actually, there's one good thing that they're doing now. I forget the name of it. They're doing a tournament where they're taking from like Korea, China, and the LCP, like Southeast Asia.
LCP? Oh, okay.
So obviously the World Championship has like the top 4 from China, top 4 from Korea, and like the top 2 or 3, I think, from the LCP. And then they're doing another tournament, which is like the next 3 teams from each league. So it's like not the ones that got to the World Championship, but so like a mini, kind of slightly lower stakes one of the best of the rest, essentially, to actually do like some kind of serious tournament, which is good. So yeah, we're like clinging. We're desperate for absolutely anything in League, and you guys get all this bloody stuff. And you're complaining. But I like this.
I mean, in my defense, like it's the same problem with the GC tournaments that Red Bull runs because there's not anything for GC usually aside from like the main circuit. Like the Spotlight series is very new. They only started it last year. So Red Bull runs like the only GC event in like a couple of years, and they make it so that you have to play 3 duelists on every bloody map. Like nobody plays 3 duelists on every map unless like you're like Paper Rex and you're having like a Copenhagen
well, that's just
final
like a
that you really
rule.
want
You
to.
just have to pick 3 duelists.
Yeah, you have to pick duelists, like 3 duelists. Like, bro, we're playing Valorant. Can you like not make these arbitrary rules? Like, we already have so few game changer tournaments. You have one, it's a LAN, it's happening in London. It sounds so fire. And yeah, it's called Red Bull Instalock. Like, we already deal with 3 duelists like playing ranked every day, bro. I don't want to watch this crap as well. Like, why are you making my G2 girls play this?
Why
Why are you making my Falcons do this? Huh?
you're trying to get away from 3 duelists by watching actual good
I
players.
mean, I don't mind, but these are. It's not like these teams do it anyway. Like, two duelists makes sense. It's okay. It may works with the Valorant meta. This, like, we live in a Valorant meta where you need like a double controller or double initiator on like most maps at the very least. So taking 3 slots away to force people to play duelist is kind of sad. That's about
Yeah.
it.
I
Thank
mean,
you for listening to my rant, I
no,
guess.
that's good. It's good to get it out.
I have a
Uh,
bunch of these, unfortunately.
is the other one I'm interested in is this Project Blender one in EMEA, mainly because
Hmm.
I'm just a sucker for anything that reminds me of the FA Cup in football, where it's like the English football. So in the English football ecosystem, the FA Cup is basically a straight single elimination knockout for every team in the country, from like the teams at the top in the Premier League down to the teams in like the 15th division. Like everyone plays in it, and there's like the better teams come in at the end. And the whole thing about it is like basically any team in the country has the possibility to go to the final and play in Wembley and win it. They're not really going to do it, but the point is like the possibility is
The
there. And
potential.
then what does happen every year is that you'll get at least one team, maybe from like the 5th division, will beat a team in the 3rd division, which already is a big upset. But then what happens is like the next round, the teams from the 1st division come in, so you end up with a match that's like one of these teams where everyone's paid millions and millions a year, and they end up having to play against a team that are like semi-pros and they're builders and plumbers and stuff. And it's just a unique thing that in esports you don't really get it. Occasionally there'll be like the odd tournament like this where you can just get like complete amateurs playing against a team of tier 1 pros, and yeah, it's just I just like that. Just the fact that can happen is exciting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to
It is
that.
very wholesome, yeah.
Yeah, and even if they just get smashed, and it's just like it's still a nice thing they got to experience playing against this team of pros. I like it. Anyway, that's it for the off-season tournaments, and I think that's pretty much it for the episode. Any final thoughts before the weekend?
I mean, enjoy Champions. By the time you catch us out on other hot takes, we'll have a new Valorant's champion. Hopefully, it'll be Paper X. A girl can hope. But honestly, I'll be happy if any of these teams win. I think that they've all had like pretty banger storylines, and yeah, I mean, Paper X Fnatic. I would be very happy to see them lift a trophy. DRX and RG. I would also be happy to see them lift a trophy, but not as much as Paper X. But I guess,
Listen,
yeah.
Paper X had their
I mean, you
trophy
said
this
you
year. They already got theirs.
only one lead. Fnatic already have 2 by that measure. Come on, let my boys catch up.
No. We're talking global. Paper X have got one. It's time. It's
Yeah, Fnatic
Fnatic's
have
time.
2.
Yeah, but this
Fnatic
year.
have 2.
This
What's your
year.
point?
I'm setting the rules. This
Yeah,
year,
but
Paper X have one.
no,
It's fine.
Fnatic got 2 in the same year. They got 2 in 2023. So let 2025 be the
I wasn't
Paper
making
X
the
year.
rules
Let us
there.
get 2. I'm hoping this is the case, but there's also like I don't know if you saw the whole Heretics curse thing, where like any team that Heretics loses to or
Oh
something
yeah.
finishes 3rd, and the other one finishes 1st. So, by that reckoning, I think actually MIBR should have
Yeah.
been there somewhere. But I mean, if you go by like the hypothetical curse that has worked so far, it worked at Toronto as well with Paper X winning and I think these guys
So
Wolves coming 3rd.
Paper
So
X will be
uh,
3rd then.
I think did they? Yeah, maybe, or they'll be 1st. I mean, I don't know if the curse applies because, like I said,
Yeah, it's already fucked.
MIBR
So yeah.
is out, so it's already kind of screwed with MIBR going out. But if MIBR had been there, even then the prophecy wouldn't have made sense because both teams would still be in the lower final. I guess it only works if the team that beat Heretics stays in the upper final, which is
Yeah.
unfortunately not the case here. So, yeah, no Heretics curse, but I don't know. Honestly, I feel like NRG could surprise us. I have like a feeling. I hope I'm wrong and Paper X win, but the way they've been playing, I don't know, man. They've got like they're in form. They haven't really faced a loss before, so everything is like,
Well, they're
I mean, faced a big loss on an international stage like that.
they're sort of the Wolves of champs a little bit. Probably just had slightly higher expectations than Wolves did. But then it's that thing of like this coming in without the much expectations and just being able to go like and just like ride the momentum the whole way can take you
Hmm.
for Wolves. It took them to top 3, but then once you get to like the crunch time and you're against like the teams that are just like the other top teams, then that's where it's a bit trickier to go riding on that. So we'll see, but I think it's Fnatic anyway. So next time we talk, I think we'll be talking about Fnatic VALORANT Champions, and I'll have my shirt
We'll
with
get back
the
and find
signature.
out. We'll find out, I suppose.
Yeah. That we will. So yeah, we'll probably see you in a couple of weeks then when we do our next Valorant one, and yeah, let's see who's happier.
Who's right? Yeah, I feel like we're both gonna be wrong, and it's gonna be like DRX and RG surprising us. But
Yeah.
you never know, you know.
And also because I'm going to be there, we need the English speaking teams so that they have more chance of interviews as well. So
To be
selfishly,
fair, I think
as well.
Hyunmin
Yeah,
does
true.
you just try to interview Hyunmin if you get DRX, like,
Yeah.
because he speaks perfect English, so it can make your job easier,
Yeah,
I suppose.
absolutely. And that's why we've interviewed him twice this year already. So we just keep churning him out with Hyunmin every week.
Lucky
Um,
us.
yeah, but there we go. So we'll wrap it there. Thanks very much for your time, Zach. I hope you enjoy watching the finals. If Paper X do win it, I'll be happy for you. All the
I hope
best.
they make it to the final, man. I wouldn't put it past DRX. It's DRX. They're like dangerous people.
Let's see. And yeah, thanks everybody for watching and for listening. And we will see you next time. Bye bye.